So when I think of what's happening in the world, I see people, groups of people, families struggling to get across borders, rivers, seas. Part of the founding idea of university, one of the crucial things, is it welcomes talent from our own country, from around the world. And it's never more important when there's trauma and difficulties in other parts of the world that we're open to those talented people.
I'm with the Hornsea team. We're going east to west, 120 miles, 6 days. That's no mean feat, up to 20 miles a day. So I need to get in training. Fortunately, my job is my training. This time of year, I'm doing up to 60 miles a week cutting grass. So each day, I've got my pedometer on, see how I'm getting on. Last week, it was almost 70 miles. As much as seeing the countryside while I'm out and about, I'm also looking forward to meeting people from other departments, some of the academics.
I'm supporting the Big Walk for refugee scholars and students, partly because I want to show support for refugees in general. I think it's a basic human right to be safe, and we all have that right, but partly also because I'm just proud of the university for doing this, and it's such a wonderful practical thing that we can actually help to achieve in our university community. A few years ago I was working in India in a small town called Dharamshala, and I was working with the local Indian community population and the Tibetan refugee population. And the Tibetan refugee population, some of them had come over 50 years ago, and some of them had only just recently traversed the Himalayas. But what was interesting was none of them had taken up Indian citizenship because they all wanted to be able to return home.
When I went to Palestine, I went to a refugee camp south of Bethlehem. And what I discovered while I was there is the symbol of the key to these people, the key back to their home. Their homes don't exist, but it's the power of that key, the message that they want. They want to go back home, just as refugees around the world want to go back home. And I think what the university is trying to do is to try and provide the tools for these people to have that key back to their homes and the communities that they know.
So refugee scholars and refugee academics, like refugees in general, are some of the most courageous and resourceful and resilient people there are. So we can only benefit from their resourcefulness and their innovation.
They've got a lot to offer. They're trained, they're educated, they've dedicated themselves to research and helping the world and society. It didn't matter which part of the world it was. That's what they want to do, that's what they're trained to do. And if they're here amongst us, we should be helping them achieve that. It benefits them, of course, but it benefits us as well.
I mean, just a few weeks ago, I welcomed a scholar from Syria who's working on drought-resistant wheat. But there are others. We have had scholars from Gaza. We've had scholars, in fact, from many parts of the world that have encountered difficulties. And it's the most precious thing to be able to give them a place to continue their career and to flourish. They're incredibly generous in what they bring. They are grateful, deeply grateful to this place, and they give back an enormous amount. So it's really important that we do everything we can to make them as welcome as possible, to give them the things. We can't substitute for what they've lost, we can't make up for it totally, but we can do a hell of a lot to make their lives better, and by it also enriching our university and our community.